Driving while being distracted by any activity. A. Is never dangerous. B. Usually causes the driver to react more slowly to hazards. C. Usually causes the driver to drive faster. D. Is only dangerous for young drivers. B. Usually causes the driver to react more slowly to hazards. Distractions cause drivers to react more slowly to traffic and hazards on the roadway. Distracted driving is never safe. You do not need to stop your vehicle for a frozen dessert truck when A. It shows flashing red lights. B. It shows a stop signal arm. C. A person is crossing the roadway to or from the frozen dessert truck. D. Driving on a dual highway, if you're on the opposite side of a safety island or median. You should turn on your headlights? A. 1/2 hour after sunset. B. 1/2 hour after sunrise. C. When parked at a school. D. When stopped at a railroad crossing. A. 1/2 hour after sunset. Headlights must be used 1/2 hour after sunset until 1/2 hour before sunrise, when windshield wipers are being used due to rain or snow, and in any other situation when visibility is less than 500 feet. Auxiliary lights are never an appropriate substitute for headlights. At an intersection with a yield sign, you should A. Always stop before entering the intersection. B. Yield just to the traffic on the right. C. Yield just to the traffic on the left. D. Slow down and yield the right of way to other traffic. D. Slow down and yield the right of way to other traffic. A yield sign means that you must slow down and yield the right of way to traffic in the intersection or roadway you are entering.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
When passing a large vehicle, the driver of a small vehicle must be prepared for A. Loud noises. B. Excess air pollution. C. Wind gusts produced by the large vehicle. D. Falling vehicle parts. To register a vehicle in New Jersey, you must be age. Fill in the blank. Or older. A. 17. B. 25. C. 18. D. 21. A. 17. To register a motor vehicle in New Jersey, you must be at least 17 years old. You must have proof of identity and proof of vehicle ownership. This sign means A. Steep downgrade. B. Crossroad ahead. C. No right turn. D. Narrow bridge. A. Steep downgrade. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers about an upcoming steep hill. They should adjust their speed accordingly to avoid brake damage or collision. Highway markings A. Are usually not important. B. Are only found in construction zones. C. Provide information for drivers. D. Are usually red and blue in color. C. Provide information for drivers. Highway markings provide information for drivers. Markings help drivers correctly position their vehicles on roadways, inform drivers of safe passing zones, and warn drivers about upcoming conditions. A driver is required to practice driving on a probationary license for up to A. 1 year. B. 9 months. C. 5 months. D. 8 weeks. A. 1 year. Once obtaining a probationary license, a driver must practice unsupervised driving for at least 1 year before they can get their basic driver license. While holding a probationary license, a driver must be careful to adhere to all restrictions placed on probationary license holders. The most effective safety restraints in a traffic crash are: A. Only a lap and shoulder belt. B. Only an airbag. C. Both a lap, shoulder belt and an airbag. D. No safety restraints. C. Both a lap, shoulder belt and an airbag. Safety belts can double your chance of surviving a crash and more than double your chance of avoiding serious injury. Airbags, when used properly with safety belts, provide additional protection in a front-end crash. You should wear both shoulder and lap belts. Your vehicle strikes an unattended parked vehicle and you cannot locate the vehicle's owner. You A. have done as much as you can. B. must stay until the police arrive. C. must leave a written notice containing your name, your address, and the circumstances of the accident. D. may go on your way. C. must leave a written notice containing your name, your address, and the circumstances of the accident. Upon striking an unattended vehicle, stop and try to locate the owner. If you cannot find the owner, leave a written notice containing your name, your address, and the circumstances of the accident. Which of the following best ensures your safety and the safety of those around you when you are backing your vehicle? A. Honk your horn right before shifting into reverse. B. Check behind the vehicle before you get into the driver's seat. C. Check your rearview mirrors to see what is behind you. D. Turn up the car radio before backing up to get the attention of anyone who may be around you. B. Check behind the vehicle before you get into the driver's seat. Backing requires extra caution because it is difficult for drivers to see behind their vehicles. Before entering a vehicle to back up, walk to the back of the vehicle to check for children and small objects. A slow-moving vehicle emblem is A. a rectangular red sign. B. a circular green sign. C. a diamond-shaped yellow sign. D. a triangular orange sign. D. a triangular orange sign. The slow-moving vehicle symbol is a reflective orange triangle. Expect vehicles using this emblem to be driving at speeds of 25 miles per hour or slower. You may drive around the gates at a railroad crossing. A. when the train has passed. B. under no circumstances. C. when the lights have stopped flashing. D. when other drivers drive around the gates. B. under no circumstances. You are required to stop at all railroad crossings when signals warn of an approaching train. These signals may include flashing red lights, a lowered crossing gate, a flagger signaling, or a train's audible signal of warning. Do not attempt to go around a lowered gate. This sign means A. T intersection. B. lane shifting. C. side road. D. do not block intersection. A. T intersection. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign warns drivers that they are approaching a T intersection and should prepare to turn either right or left. When driving behind a transit bus that is signaling to enter a traffic lane, you should A. Quickly pass the bus before it re-enters traffic. B. Yield the right-of-way to the transit bus. C. Expect the bus to yield the right-of-way to you. D. Either yield the right-of-way or don't yield the right-of-way. There is no specific rule. B. Yield the right-of-way to the transit bus. Drivers behind a transit bus are required to yield the right-of-way to the bus if the bus is signaling to enter a traffic lane. Drivers should adjust their speed or change lanes to make re-entering traffic easier for the bus. What is a no zone? A. A designated no passing zone. B. A one-way traffic area. C. The blind spot of a large vehicle. D. An area designated for motor vehicles. C. The blind spot of a large vehicle. No zones are the large blind spots around trucks and other large vehicles. Drivers of smaller vehicles should avoid lingering in no zones. If you are driving on a one-way street and an emergency vehicle using its flashing lights approaches your vehicle, you must A. Drive with your flashers turned on. B. Drive toward the nearest roadside and stop. C. Speed up and take the nearest exit. D. Slow down until the vehicle passes you. B. Drive toward the nearest roadside and stop. If an emergency vehicle using its lights or siren approaches while you are driving on a one-way street, you must drive toward the nearest roadside and stop. Increasing your vehicle's speed. A. Increases your field of vision. B. Decreases your field of vision. C. Makes it easier to see cross traffic. D. Has no effect on your field of vision. B. Decreases your field of vision. The faster you drive, the smaller your field of vision becomes. As your speed increases and your field of vision decreases, you must be extra alert to potential hazards. This sign means A. Stop ahead. B. Buggy warning. C. Limited parking. D. Do not block intersection. A. Stop ahead. Warning signs prepare drivers for upcoming road conditions and hazards and are usually yellow with black markings. This sign tells drivers that there is an upcoming stop sign and that they should prepare to come to a complete stop before proceeding. Which of the following does not happen after drinking? A. Your reflexes and reaction time slow down. B. Your judgment of speed and distance is distorted. C. You are less alert. D. You calm down and can concentrate better. D. You calm down and can concentrate better. Alcohol reduces your reaction time, reduces your ability to see clearly, changes your judgment of speed and distances, reduces your ability to recover from the glare of headlights, and often reduces your inhibitions and makes you more likely to take risks. When approaching a flashing yellow light, drivers should A. Increase their speed. B. Come to a complete stop. C. Turn on their headlights. D. Slow down and proceed with caution. D. Slow down and proceed with caution. A flashing yellow light warns of a hazard. Slow down and proceed with caution. You approach an emergency vehicle that is stopped with its lights flashing. You must A. Slow down. If possible, change lanes so you will not drive next to the stopped emergency vehicle. B. Drive to the right side of the road and stop. C. Stay in your lane and continue to drive at the same speed. D. Accelerate to quickly pass the stopped vehicle. A. Slow down. If possible, change lanes so you will not drive next to the stopped emergency vehicle. If you approach an emergency vehicle, tow truck, or roadside assistance vehicle that is stopped with its lights flashing, you must change lanes to allow the vehicle extra space. If there is only one lane moving in your direction, or if changing lanes would be unsafe, you must slow down to a speed below the posted speed limit and give the stationary vehicle as much room as possible. Always slow down and be prepared to stop when you approach an emergency scene. You want to back out of your driveway. You see children playing nearby. Before you start to move your car, you should A. Rev your engine to warn the children that you are moving. B. Sound your horn so the children will hear you. C. Walk to the back of the car to be sure the way is clear. D. Tell the children to stay away from the driveway. C. Walk to the back of the car to be sure the way is clear. When you back up a vehicle, look through your back window for pedestrians and other obstacles. Do not rely only on your mirrors, especially when children are near. Before you back into or out of a driveway, get out of the vehicle and check behind your vehicle. The speed limit in school zones is A. 25 miles per hour. B. 35 miles per hour. C. 45 miles per hour. D. 50 miles per hour. A. 25 miles per hour. Unless otherwise posted, drivers in school zones should not drive at speeds faster than 25 miles per hour. You should always exercise caution when driving in a school zone. When a vehicle with an anti-lock braking system starts to lose traction on a slippery road, drivers should A. Pump the brakes. B. Press and hold the brake pedal. C. Press and hold the gas pedal. D. Lightly tap the brakes. B. Press and hold the brake pedal. If their vehicle loses traction on a slippery road, a driver with an anti-lock braking system (ABS) needs to press down hard on the brake pedal, hold it, and steer out of danger. In an emergency situation, the ABS automatically pumps the brakes at a faster rate than the driver could. Removing steady pressure from the brake pedal or pumping the brakes will disengage the ABS. If you need to stop quickly and your vehicle is not equipped with an anti-lock braking system (ABS), you should A. Hold down the brake pedal. B. Firmly pump your brakes. C. Lightly tap the brakes. D. Release the brake pedal. B. Firmly pump your brakes. Pumping the brakes is generally the best way to stop a car in an emergency. The car will stop quickly and you will also be able to continue steering. The most effective thing you can do to reduce your risk of being injured or killed in a traffic crash is to A. Wear your seat belt. B. Limit your driving to weekdays. C. Stay in the right lane on multi-lane highways. D. Limit your driving to hours between 3 p.m. and 6 p.m. A. Wear your seat belt. Wearing your seat belt is the single most effective thing you can do to reduce your risk of death or injury while driving. Unless otherwise posted, the speed limit in business districts is A. 70 miles per hour. B. 55 miles per hour. C. 40 miles per hour. D. 25 miles per hour. D. 25 miles per hour. Unless otherwise posted, the speed limit in business districts is 25 miles per hour. If a different speed limit is posted, you should follow that speed limit. A red and white triangular sign at an intersection means A. Slow down if an emergency vehicle is approaching. B. Look both ways as you cross the intersection. C. Always come to a full stop at the intersection. D. Slow down and be prepared to stop if necessary. D. Slow down and be prepared to stop if necessary. A triangular red and white yield sign means that you must decrease speed as you approach an intersection and yield the right of way to any vehicles or pedestrians in the intersection. You must be prepared to stop if conditions require it. You may avoid a traffic signal by driving on public or private property. A. Under no circumstances. B. If the property owner grants you permission. C. If you are running late. D. If an officer directs you to do so. D. If an officer directs you to do so. It is a traffic violation to operate a motor vehicle on public or private property to avoid a traffic control signal or sign unless an officer directs traffic to do so. What should you do if your vehicle's right wheels leave the pavement? A. Stop quickly. B. Immediately pull all the way off of the road and get back on when it is safe. C. Accelerate and steer back on the road quickly. D. Take your foot off the accelerator. Slow down, then ease back onto the road when it is safe to do so. D. Take your foot off the accelerator. Slow down, then ease back onto the road when it is safe to do so. If your vehicle's right wheels leave the pavement, don't panic. Take your foot off the accelerator and steer parallel to the road. Slow down and ease back onto the roadway by keeping both hands on the steering wheel and steering into the road's right lane with a small turn of the steering wheel. Check for traffic around you before steering back onto the pavement. Allow a larger space cushion than usual when stopping. A. On an incline. B. At an intersection. C. At a stop sign. D. At a toll plaza. A. On an incline. You should allow more space in front of your vehicle than usual when you are stopped on an uphill slope. If the vehicle in front of you rolls backward toward your vehicle when traffic begins to move again, it is less likely that there will be a collision. What should you do when you are going to enter a roadway from a private road? A. Blow your horn to warn cars you are entering the roadway. B. Stop with part of your car on the roadway to alert other drivers. C. Drive out fast to merge smoothly with the traffic. D. Yield the right of way to pedestrians and roadway traffic. D. Yield the right of way to pedestrians and roadway traffic. When entering a roadway from a driveway or private road, you must yield the right of way to pedestrians and traffic on the roadway. When approaching a steady yellow traffic light, drivers should A. Accelerate to avoid a red light. B. Continue driving, as they have the right of way. C. Slow to a stop, unless they are already within the intersection. D. Check to see what the cars next to them are doing. C. Slow to a stop, unless they are already within the intersection. A steady yellow traffic light indicates that a red light is about to appear. Stop unless you are already within the intersection. This road sign means A. Increase your speed. B. Railroad crossing ahead. C. Intersection ahead. D. Four-way stop ahead. C. Intersection ahead. This sign means that you are approaching an upcoming intersection. Watch carefully for cross traffic. Slower moving traffic on a multi-lane highway should A. Drive in any lane. B. Drive in the left lane. C. Drive in the lane with the least amount of traffic. D. Drive in the right lane. D. Drive in the right lane. If you are driving more slowly than surrounding traffic on a multi-lane road, use the right lane. The left-hand lane is intended for use by faster-moving traffic that is passing slower-moving traffic. This sign means A. One-way traffic. B. Divided highway ahead. C. Two-way traffic. D. Keep left. B. Divided highway ahead. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped with black markings on a yellow background. They alert drivers to upcoming hazards. This warning sign indicates that drivers are about to encounter a divided highway. You can practice driving with a valid learner permit. A. Between 12:01 a.m. and 5 a.m. B. Between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. C. Between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. D. Anytime. C. Between 5 a.m. and 11 p.m. A person with a valid learner permit may not drive between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. Worn or bald tires. A. Can make turning more difficult. B. Are likely to hydroplane. C. Can increase your stopping distance. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Worn or bald tires can increase your stopping distance and make turning more difficult. Tires without adequate tread also increase the risk of hydroplaning. Stress can affect your driving by A. Lowering your ability to focus on driving. B. Decreasing your chances of an accident. C. Causing you to fall asleep at the wheel. D. Making you more aware of others around you. Always signal when A. Changing lanes. B. Pulling into or out of a parking space. C. Pulling into traffic from an alley or parking area. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. Always use the proper turn signal when changing lanes, pulling into or out of a parking space, or pulling into traffic from an alley or parking area. Communicate with other drivers on the road to help prevent accidents. What kinds of drugs can affect your driving ability? A. Allergy medicine. B. Marijuana. C. Cold remedies. D. All of these choices. You may not park. A. On a hill. B. In a parking lot. C. On a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. D. Within 12 inches of the right side of the road. C. On a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. There are a number of locations where it is unlawful to park, including on a crosswalk or in a marked bicycle lane. When parking on the street, You must be within 12 inches of the side of the road. You are driving on a highway divided by two solid yellow lines. You may A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. B. Cross these lines to pass other vehicles, but only if there is no oncoming traffic. C. Cross these lines under no circumstances. D. Cross these lines only to make a U-turn. A. Cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. Double solid yellow lines are used to mark roadways where passing is prohibited from both directions. You may cross these lines only to make a left turn into or from an alley, private road, or driveway. This sign means A. Slippery when wet. B. Watch for drunk drivers. C. Dangerous curve ahead. D. Bump in the road ahead. A. Slippery when wet. Warning signs are usually diamond-shaped with black markings on a yellow background. They alert drivers to upcoming hazards. This sign warns drivers to be extra careful when the pavement is wet because the road may become slippery, making vehicles more difficult to control. If an aggressive driver cuts you off, you should A. Call the police immediately. B. Stay calm and move out of the aggressive driver's way. C. Flash your vehicle's lights to let the aggressive driver know he is wrong. D. Use a driving action of your own to get back at the aggressive driver. B. Stay calm and move out of the aggressive driver's way. If an aggressive driver cuts you off on the roadway, stay calm and get out of their way. Trying to get even with an aggressive driver risks escalating the situation and increasing the danger. As alcohol builds up in your blood, it A. Slows down your reactions. B. Makes you feel less confident. C. Begins to metabolize itself more quickly. D. Decreases the number of driving errors. A. Slows down your reactions. As alcohol builds up in your system, it will slow your reactions, make you feel more confident, and cause you to make more errors. What happens if you drink alcohol while taking prescription or over-the-counter medicine? A. The medicine reduces the effect of the alcohol. B. The alcohol will help the medicine cure a cold. C. The combination could multiply the effects of the alcohol or medicine. D. There is no effect because they are different substances. C. The combination could multiply the effects of the alcohol or medicine. Consuming alcohol and other drugs together can increase the impairing effects of both. For example, having one drink while you are also using a cold remedy could affect you as much as several drinks would when being consumed separately from any medications. Road rage and aggressive driving may be reduced by A. Allowing extra travel time. B. Obeying posted speed limits. C. Using proper turn signals. D. All of the above. D. All of the above. As an increasing number of drivers populate the roadways, road rage becomes more prevalent. To help prevent road rage, a driver should use proper turn signals, obey posted speed limits, and allow plenty of travel time.